and welcome to Dear Dana. Make sure I didn't mute myself. I'm bad about doing that. I'm happy to have you here. Today we are talking about spiritual alignment. We are talking about gifts and auras. Not necessarily all in you know, that order. We might jump back and forth. A lot of this is for your own hello, vintage optimism. I don't want to say for your own education, but hello, Shelly Marie. You are more than welcome to pop in, ask questions, um, have any of your own, how do I say it? You can have your own questions and thoughts along the way. If and when you don't understand, or if you've had experiences, or if you want to pop up, any of the above, right? We hear a lot of these things. People's experiences are going to be different. Some of these things are going to mean different things to you. They are. Um, they have meant different things to me. Some of these things have been more important to me in the beginning than they are now. And I'll tell you why as we go. But yeah, and there's still a lot of connectiveness when it comes to science and religion and spirituality. I don't so much always say religion because I still feel like it's all connected to God and spirituality and science. You may say creator, you may say Buddha, you may say a mass of other things. Whoever your creator or is to you, that is perfectly a-okay. Perfectly a-okay. It doesn't need to be the same as mine. Hello, shoeless one. I want to know how you are feeling. This is your morning, it's my evening. I want to know how you're feeling. He has been sick. Let's send him some good healing vibes. I've been concerned about you. Let's send Steve, shoeless one, some good healing vibes. I love all the butterflies you're throwing down, vintage. But yeah, there doesn't have to be, when we talk about our spiritual alignment, there doesn't have to be a black or white. It doesn't have to be engraved in steel. And neither does the aura or the gifts. You'll see. It's a lot of it has to do with, it's subjective in some ways. It's about your personal path. Hey, Jamie B, precious one. So much of it is about your personal path. And again, you'll understand why in a second. And toward the end of this, just so you'll know, before I forget, because you know I get glitchy, towards the end of the show, once the show ends and we go off, I'm going to come back on quickly for another live because I did an order. I don't know if you see at the end of, hey, Sarah Snow, at the end of all of my videos, if you ever read down, I tell you about more candles and face products. I'm not selling them. I'm not getting hey, more candle company. I'm not getting a cut of it or anything. They're not sponsoring me. And if you ever have any of your own personally created, not MLM, you hear me, personally created, you put your heart and soul in business or music or anything for that matter that you've done yourself, I will always support you and put it below my videos. But anyway, I made an order with him. So when this video is over, I'm going to go live again and I'm going to open my box. But that being said, if you ever want to put an order in with him yourself, I'm going to show you my own order that I purchased. You can use Dear Dana 15 and get 15% off. Yeah. Now that's pretty cool. I did get a coupon code that you could use for your purchase. You can use Dear Dana 15 and get 15% off. They were gracious enough to do that. Now, I was tickled about that. Dear Dana 15, that's my first ever coupon code. Hey, Marzi. But yeah, once this video goes off, I'm going to come back up real quick, do another quick live so it can be separate, and I'm going to open up my box. You know it's killing me. You know it's killing me. There's other stuff besides candles in there, but you know it's killing me. I waited to open the things in there to look at them so I could do it with you. But anyway, let me throw the intro up so we can get on with this thing. Okay? Let me throw it up. Bum bum dun dun dun. Now, how do you like those two intros together? I like them together. I felt like it's just enough to open up with a splash and then give you a little comfort. That way it makes my daughter happy too. She thought I didn't like what she did. I do. Oh, thank you so much, Tia. Need more of the intro? Is that what you said, Wade? Welcome back, Wade. I was so happy to have you here last time. So, as I was saying, we're talking about alignment, spiritual alignment. Your spiritual alignment can mean many things. It is not separate from your Creator, it's not separate from God. If you're a Christian, I consider myself a Christian. If your belief is in Buddha or whoever you call your Creator, ultimately your Creator, we all end up in a juxtaposition of the same. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, we all are at the same party. If you've been a good human, you know how I love good humans. We're all at the same party in a place of love, ultimately. But spiritual alignment, when you know that you're going through a time of it, you become more calm and centered in some ways. You become, when you're in that enlightened place. Now, there is a difference in an awakening. A spiritual awakening may be that you become more aware that staying in a stagnant place is not enough. That you're meant to walk out of your life and seek more, to do more. It's a pull. You know what I'm saying? It's a pull. Your spiritual awakening may be that you need to go serve in another country. That may be part of your spiritual awakening. It may be that you need to go serve in another country. Maybe it's you need to serve your country. Maybe it's that you need to go on a serve in another country, building homes or creating a way for people to get clean water. Does that make sense? It's a call to your soul in a way. In psychology, Joseph Campbell would call it a glimpsing spirit, a call to your adventure, feeling like you had to get out of where you are in your life. There's more to your life. And you may need to take a closer examination and realize you needed to choose a path. That's part of going within yourself spiritually, knowing you have to choose a path somewhere. Now, some people are just satisfied to stay where they are and be on the hamster wheel. And it may be 20, 30, 40 years down the road that they're like, oh, baby, I wish I hadn't stayed on the hamster wheel. And then they feel this calling within. It's like an internal calling. I've been on some internal calling since I was 8. I didn't know how to put it into words when I was 8. But I've been on some weird internal calling since I was 8. It's like being on some journey and you may not know how to put it into words. You may not know how to put it into words when you're grown. Now, maybe in another religion, in another philosophy, maybe a yogi would call it bhakti yoga, the path of love and devotion, or jnana yoga, the path of science and intellect, or the path of action, selfless service, or raja yoga, the path of meditation and related disciples. I call it, in some ways, service leadership. I have always wanted to serve others. If I lead others, I must serve them first. I lead others through serving, through service. That has always been like my gut. How do I put it? It's my core to help. It's my core instinct to always help. I can't teach someone, and I can't be a leader or even a manager in a store, a manager in a restaurant, a manager in a McDonald's, a CEO in a company. If I'm not willing to do the job at the bottom, if I'm not willing to stand side by side with the person that I am trying to lead and serve with them. But then you go on the spiritual awakening or the spiritual path, and you start feeling like, okay, I'm starting to feel like I sort of know where that path wants to take me. And maybe someone, a yogi might call it sadhana, right? And I'm not a yogi. But it just shows you over different practices, right? Just trying to give you examples. And it's a seeking. And you might feel like your spiritual calling deepens. Just like in Christianity, some people might feel like their spiritual calling deepens. And some people that don't have a understanding of any of these religious practices might not have an understanding. In third world countries, they might not have any of these understandings. But something deep, deep within them has some kind of pulling and understanding of what it means to be a good human and to be of service to others, and this calling to follow a path in a way they don't understand with words, right? So that's what it means to me when I say it may look different to many people, but as a good human, it may be innately, deeply inside. And it may look differently to me and Vintage and Shoeless One and Wade and many in this chat. But if at the core It feels the same, and it could be coming from the same place. As humans, if the if it's trying to come to the same end game, for lack of better, I feel like it's being guided the same. You understand what I'm saying? We are not to judge. That is not our place. That's not our place. Not our place. It's basically we're in a place of following the path and taking it from an isolated exercise to a way of life that brings about the greater good. Like Vintage works with children with her art and tries to get them involved to take them out of difficult circumstances, to take them out of might be a moment of darkness, to bring them in a creative way that might bring them some happiness. Like when we raise the money for the children in the Bronx that have been cooped up during the lockdown. All of those things that we do make a difference. When we begin to lose sight, lose the path, and we're more involved in the act of doing and making that difference, it's not without struggle. And the awakening is not without confronting us and making us aware of our shortcomings and our biases and when we might be resistant to change. And we think we have it all going on and we are the all-knowing, because we're not. That's when we have the aha moment. Hello, Diana. That's when we have the aha moments. And then we have to start all over again. No, not really. We don't start all over again. But it's sort of making sure we don't get too prideful. Making sure that we are still a student of our life. And that we stay on the learning path. Does that make sense? That we stay on the learning path. Exactly, Vintage. That we stay on the learning path. Look, you will never see me, and if you do, please wake me up. Please. Please, please, please. If I ever act like I know everything, and I have lost my humility, and there's not another thing I need to attend to, or I'm ever in a place where I'm not being a servant leader, somebody please wake me up and remind me that that is where I am supposed to be. Because I have said it before, and I'll say it again. To walk a spiritual path, it is humbling and it makes you grateful. But it is not an easy path. It is not. And I don't care if you are someone that is in the priesthood for the right reason, someone that is a preacher for the right reason, someone that is spiritual for the right reason and living in their everyday life, someone that's trying to follow God's word in the Bible for the right reason, whatever reason you are in a spiritual path for. And I'm not saying that you have to be perfect or saintly all the time. And Lord knows I am not a priest. I am not a pastor. I am not a nun. I'm none of those things. it is hard, and you are going to be like this. You're going to have days that life slaps you in the face, and you are not going to be as focused on that journey as you need to be. And you may have a difficult hurdle that you are trying to overcome, or a tragedy, or something that brings you down hard. And you may ask, why? Why? It may shake your faith, whatever that faith is. Oh, honey, please, Paranormal Witch, I'm so sorry, Willow, you don't feel well. No sorries needed. It may shake your faith, but by the same token, it will be the very thing that you need to take you back to get on your path. And you will need some kind of belief in something bigger and higher than yourself. You will. So, yes. So to find yourself in alignment or in an awakening, it still goes back to serving and helping people. Ultimately, isn't that odd? It's not just about, ah, or some hoodoo voodoo juju thing, but you do feel it from the inside out. And it may make you wonder, do I belong on this earth? What am I doing here? Sometimes I don't feel like I belong here. And I'm sure every person that was scrambling or digging for some higher meaning has felt like that. Have any of you in the chat felt like that? Looking for a higher, greater meaning. And you've struggled to find it somewhere. It's part of finding that awakening, that enlightening. And you may find yourself reading a billion things, trying to make sense of it. And sometimes it makes you feel like you're more connected to people or animals or nature in some ways that you know that you know that you know. But to explain it to others might be difficult. It's just that inner knowingness, that inner realizing that time and space and the vastness of everything and the connectedness of everything is just so much more. It's one of those times where you really do feel like this tiny thing, and you walk around and you're like, wow, if people really realized how much more there is to everything, if they realized how much more there is to everything, especially when you have synchronicities or miracles that happen that you can't explain, or things that happen to you that you can't explain, or these little gifts in your life that occur, or these knowingnesses, right? And you're like, oh, I can't talk to anybody about that. They'll think I'm crazy. Or I know a little miracle came, but they'll think I'm crazy. And realizing the power that we have to make change, just the power of being good humans. Has anybody ever read? Yeah, I haven't read well, maybe I did a long time ago. I need to revisit that vintage. Has anyone ever read the scientific research just behind prayer? Is it the placebo experience? Is it the energy behind it? The energy behind a multitude of people focusing on one person. Hello, Natasha Reiser. Focusing on one person, sending that healing and that energy to them, but also sending it to a higher power. My Tai Chi buddy let me borrow it. It's about a seagull who believes there's more to flight than just flying to food. Think about the power of intention. It goes back to the rice experiment. Focusing your attention on cooked rice, everything that makes you angry, your intention on that one jar of rice, imagining everything that makes you angry and saying it to that one jar of cooked rice every day for a week, and taking that other jar of cooked rice and saying everything you're grateful for to that other jar, or saying your prayers to it, or imagining everything you love, right? Every day for a week, and noticing the differences in those two jars. Yes, Sarah. We were not just created and put upon the earth. Love is huge. Love is not enough, but love is a huge aspect of us being here. But we're supposed to learn more than love. We were given other gifts. We were made with other energy and other gifts, but they were intended for good things, for good. One or a bridge across forever. Oh, that sounds good too. We need to make a reading list. And we need to remember you are caring more for people. You either do more or send prayers on people. Prayers are talking to source energy. Prayers have power, and they are about all living things. They're about all living things. I mean, the trees and the leaves and the grass and the animals and the flowers and us, everything carries the energy that created us. God, the creator. Your creator, my creator. So you will begin wondering, as you are becoming spiritually enlightened about all of the energy, you will find yourself thinking more and more about all of the minutiae behind this, if you haven't already. You will move past the awakening to the enlightened part. The awakening is the traveling and the serving and the becoming aware of your flaws, and you will repeat these patterns. And you may even find yourself reliving the past in your awakening. As you're becoming more and more into your enlightened part, you'll find your intuition increasing. And that often happens as you get older. I mean, your intuition may be super now, but you will find a lot of people, if they have not gone into Alzheimer's as they've gotten older, their intuition seems to be super as they get really old. I know my grandmother was. She always knew, one in particular, always knew when something was up with me. Always. And you will find you have more of a craving to spend time doing things that don't cost a lot of money. Meaning, you don't want to go out and buy things as much. You want to spend time in nature and doing things that create moments. I know you probably thought enlightenment was going to be more strictly about the gifts. We'll get to the gifts. We'll get to the gifts. Because everybody wants to say it's just about psychic gifts. And we can call it psychic. And psychic has to do with brain and stuff, or supernatural, and we can call it supernatural. And religion uses the word supernatural too, but awakening and enlightenment covers a wide array of beliefs. I gotta get some water, sorry. But it all started with a religious slant when everybody brought forth those words. I'm going to drop the link in case anyone wants to come up. But that being said, if you have questions about that, you can. But the awakening seems to start in your late 20s or 30s, and the enlightenment goes forth over your entire life for the most part. And the gifts come depending in what stage of your life you are and what hurdles and lessons you have learned during your life. Oh, thank you so much. Awesome? I don't know about awesome. I just try to help. I don't want people to get bored, but to get to the good stuff, you got to learn the underlying stuff. We are all born with gifts. We are all born with what you want to call psychic or intuitive gifts. A lot of us, I have said before, by age 5, we unlearn them. Some of us keep them. Depending on how our life is going, what degree of stress or growth we have in our life, we may either bury or tap them out, or we may do self-work, and those gifts that we have been given within may grow. I am in firm belief if I do not use my gifts wisely, that I will lose them or they will be tamped down. I'm in firm belief of that. So I always deeply respect what I've been given to try to be of service. I do not judge unless someone's causing harm, and I try not to then. I still don't judge people's I don't judge people's religious or spiritual beliefs. I don't. Do I like people going out harming people? No. That's the only time I get angry or upset, when I see others causing harm to other people. But this is a no hate zone. This is a no judge zone. Do not come in here causing harm to people. That's what I ask. This is, I want you to feel better leaving than when you came in. This is, I want you to learn about yourself and take the time when you leave here to really go within and decide what is your path of spiritual awakening. You know what I'm saying? What is your path of spiritual awakening? Because yours is going to be different than mine. Yours is not going to look the same as mine, because what you've had to deal with in your life isn't the same as mine. Lessons I've had to learn and still will have to learn will not be the same as yours. So, and the humps can be rough. No lie. I mean, I have often said, okay, I've had to deal with this and this and this and this, and Lord knows it's been, and I'm not even crying about it, super, super, super hard. When does it get a little easier? I'm ready. And I will still serve. So, we all need to take the time and make the time to work on ourselves. And I know life gets busy, we get tired, and there are days all we want to do is Netflix, have our dinner, go to sleep, not think about anything. I'm with you. I've had weeks like that before. And you will have times like that. Our life gets heavy and you forget about going on the spiritual path. But then ultimately, if this is your way, if you have that calling and that pull, you fall back into it. Something takes you right back into it. You fall right back. You find yourself having the call. You do, you have the call. And then something will happen, and all of a sudden you'll realize maybe you have another gift that you didn't realize you had, or maybe you feel like you do. And then you're back in school exploring, okay, I think this is what's going on with me, and I need to learn about it. Just like one of our lovely community members realized he had abilities to help heal. And I sensed it with him. And some of us are given, hello, Sea Cruise, some of us are given the abilities to help bring healing. And that's often why doctors will want to go into the occupation of becoming a physician. They realize they have this energy even before they decide to go to medical school. They'll realize they have some kind of healing energy. What about third world countries? Steve, Sheila's one. Or were you talking about to me? You're not talking to me? Now, speaking of third world countries, they will intuitively sense they have gifts. They may not have all the books in the world, but their ancestors will sense and have this knowingness, this intuitive knowingness, and teach each other just from that gut instinct, just from honing in on the abilities that they were able to sense that they have. Without the education or the mentorship behind it, they will do the best they can to pass down the knowledge from generation to generation. Oh, some third world countries may not intellectually understand when I say servant leadership, or when I talk about intellectual ideas or religiosities or being saved or things like that. But they may inherently or intuitively feel the pull to be of service anyway. They might just feel the pull. I'm not talking about specific countries, Marzi. I'm talking about undeveloped areas. any undeveloped areas that are basically having to live off the land, any undeveloped peoples that may have had to live off the land, that maybe the schools aren't up to par or what have you, and maybe it was more so in the past than now. Maybe they don't have access to the internet, maybe they don't have access to libraries, things like that. If people wanted to make judgment about peoples, which I wish they wouldn't. But I was just making an example. Does that make sense, Margie? I was making an example. Yeah, for the months of October, I want to talk more about, spooky, creepy stuff for people that are interested. Now, those that want to speak about good, yes, Cambodia would be a good example. Now, if we want to switch over to people that want to ask about different gifts, and then we'll talk about auras. What do you want to know about different gifts? How they develop, what have you? Like, for instance, we found that Steve recognized, just almost haphazardly, I think, that he had some healing energy abilities that were popping up. And when you realize you first have certain capabilities for gifts, then you go, oh, this is here? And that's when you start studying about what you have, for instance, and he might learn to study the different modalities and figure out which one resonates with him more. For instance, there's Reiki, there's quantum healing, there's quantum touch, there's Qigong, I think it is. There's different forms of healing modalities out there. Then you might have people that go, if I have this, maybe I want to look into taking it a step further. If I have healing energy, why don't I consider being a massage therapist? So that I can take this healing energy and massage people, and I can connect with them and use the healing energy at the same time. Just like when I became a psychotherapist. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe they would want to do, what is it called? Dana. I know what it is. When they stick the pins in you, I know what it is and I can't think. I've even had it done before. I look like a pincushion. They may want to do something like that. That's when you when you get serious about it, you really start to study the different modalities to see where your gift fits, to see what resonates with you, to start practicing that gift to see how you can elevate it. It's sort of like discovering when you're young, oh, I didn't know I could sing. And then you start taking singing lessons to learn where you can take your voice, to tweak your voice up. Like if someone decides they can sing, they just don't start doing it and don't go to a vocal coach to fine tune their voice. Reiki, that's very cool. I would be willing to bet you, Willow, that you do. Acupuncture. Thank you, more. Thank you, Tia. Acupuncture. Yes, I've had acupuncture before. So if you have healing energy, you learn to tweak your ability. You learn to focus and meditate, and you read about it, and you learn how to tweak your ability. Like anything else, when you find out you have a natural gift, then you learn how to tweak it, make it better, fine tune it. You just don't go like a superhero. Pew, pew, pew. Ooh, look what I got! Haphazardly. That's not how it works. If you have a God given something or a creator given something, then you fine tune it. If you had the gift of, let's see, empathy, then you have to learn how to, how do you say it? You have to learn how to put good boundaries up. You put good boundaries up to protect yourself so you don't become like a sponge where you're soaking up everybody else's stuff. Because if you do not put up a good um, wall around you, learn how to focus where you put up a wall around you and you're soaking up everybody's stuff, you are no good to anyone. You're no good to anyone. And you're definitely no good to yourself. You just become a sponge that prevents you from going out, being around other people. You have to learn how to put up a protective wall. And you do that through breath work and meditation and focus. That way, you can separate what is theirs and what is yours. And you can do that. Otherwise, you're the hot mess express. You are. When I leave the house, if my energy is low, especially, but I tend to always try to do it, I take a moment, I do a little breath work, say a little prayer, and I just visualize and ask for a shield of protection to be around me. And it doesn't mean I can't still feel what's going on, I just don't take it on as my own. I'm still connected to what's going on around me. I just don't take it on as my own. I had to learn that the hard way. I especially had to learn that the hard way when I had clients or patients around me. Because I didn't want to take on their emotions or their body aches or pains, things like that. What if a doctor did that around every patient he took into the office? You really have to work on yourself when you have these extra gifts. Otherwise, people think you're crazy or a hypochondriac, right? So everything requires self work. It's not like an abracadabra, zoomity zoom. You get a gift, and you get a gift, and you get a gift, and you get a gift. You have to calm the tigers down to know what you have. If you've got the monkey mind going on and your heart's a mess and your energy's low, you can't tell what's going on inside of you. You have to really work on yourself. And as much as I am beating a horse and playing that same record over and over and over again, breath work is there for a purpose. And I cannot stress enough the conscious breath work. And that's why I started everybody off so simple with the 4, 4, and 4. Inhale through your nose, 2, 4. Hold it. Blow out slowly. Inhale, 4. Hold it. Blow out slowly. Close your eyes. Inhale, 4. Hold it. Blow out slowly. And just visualize that strong light pouring through your body, or something very calming. And do it 4, slow, hold it, and release, slow. You can't do it fast, because if you're hyperventilating, A, you're going to pass out, your heart rate's going to go up, and you're going to get anxiety. So breathing fast is not going to help you. And I will be doing another guided meditation soon. And if you need it for something in particular, if you want it for something in particular, like I think I did the last one on stress and anxiety, I'm not sure, then you drop what you want it for in the comments. And the one I have it the most for is the one I will do. Okay? I will do another guided meditation, and the subject matter you want it the most for, like I think the last one was stress, but anyway, the topic you want it the most for is the one I will do the next guided meditation for. So I need you to drop it in the comments until we get the community page, okay? So leave me the topic in the comments. And while everyone's here, let me remind you, at the end of this video, I'll take a quick break to the restroom or something. And I'm going to come back, start another quick video, because I'm going to unload my box that I ordered from More Candle Company. She's in the chat. I ordered it. She has been gracious enough. Look, I'm not paid by them. I ordered it. She's been gracious enough to allow 15% off with Dear Dana 15 if you want to order from her. Everything's beautifully handmade. Candles, skincare, eyelash oil, all kinds of smell good stuff. There's too much on her site. Trust me. It was just too much. I could have gone bonkers. But anyway, I've waited to look at my stuff so I could show you. But again, she was gracious enough to do Dear Dana 15% off. And again, I am not paid by them. So getting back to the gifts, I want to know what gifts you think you have or might have. Secret says, nice. Let me pull that up. Can I see it? I had high anxiety today just driving 35 minutes away from my house. Still on edge. Breathe, Sea Cruise. Do the 4, 4, and 4. Inhale 4 to the count of 4 through your nose, slowly. Then hold it for 4. Then blow out slowly through your mouth. And repeat it 3 or 4 times. And then just try to release, like I've cut cords. Just try to release. Driving is nothing to play with. Just try to release. It will always help. Yes, driving is one of the main things that gives panic attacks. It is not unusual for that to be a trigger. I'm going to drop the link again. Who in here And you don't have to be embarrassed in here, thinks they may have a gift. It can be intuitive. Yes, everybody surround sea cruise with some calming white light. Just breathe. And sea cruise, I want in your mind's eye, I want you to see the ocean. And in your ears, I want you to hear the ocean sound as you take some conscious breaths. Who feels like they may have an intuitive gift? Like you pick up on things, or you seem to know a person's personality before you know them, or you know when something is going to happen before it does, or you know who's going to call. That's a common one. You know when someone's going to call before they do. Well, maybe things just need to settle down in your life first, Willow. I feel it'll come. Look, mothers are generally very intuitive with their children. That's typically a given. You have that connectivity with your children. You know, they call it a mother's intuition for a reason. As they get older, you will see why. Like, well, I am the way I am anyway, but I can tell you in a minute, and I may not always bust her, but if Eden were to tell me a little fib, I may not bust her in that minute, and she's good, don't get me wrong. She just may not tell me everything, and it's usually little things. If she were to fib to me, I could tell you in a second. I could tell, like, Eden, did you get the out of the fridge? No, Mom, I don't think so. Knowing she did. Or did you get the last cookie? I don't think so, Mom. Now she's pretty much almost grown, but you get what I'm saying. It drives me crazy when somebody tries to fib at me. I say fib, it sounds nicer than lie. Drives me crazy. Just be straight with me. I can take somebody being straight with me, and I don't like it quicker than I can if they lie. Thank you, Willow. A defense mechanism? Me or her? Yeah. Yeah. Moms and daughters, kids and parents. You know how that goes. And sometimes we find that we have the oddest gifts ever. The oddest ones ever. Now, some of you may find you're very connected to animals. You're very connected to animals. Like you feel like you can read them pretty well. When she even does it now. When Eden was little, shoot, even into teenage years, she'll go, Mom, what are they saying about the animals? What is she saying? What is he saying? Because, yeah, I can pretty much read the animals. They're funny. Sometimes you wish you couldn't read the animals. How many of you feel like you can read your animals? Yes, Willow, me too. Yes, Shelley, I can't stand it. Tell me the truth every day of the week. Be straight with me every day of the week. And I hate it when I know what the truth is. I know that I know that I know, and they will not say it. It's like, just, ugh. when you can read people like a book, and you hear that every day of the week. But the problem is I can. Problem is I can. Hello, Robin Johnson. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming here. So you have the gift of healing. You have the gift of being able to read people. You have the gift of being able to hear people. Yes, Sheila's one. And sometimes I can't see their lips moving. I can just see them texting. And it still drives me nuts. Or I can feel people. This is what, too. I can feel people through the internet. Now, guess that one. I can feel them through the internet, and it drives me nuts. I never thought that would be a thing. I can feel people through the internet. It's funny what happens. The gift of sight from a distance. How many of you, when I mentioned remote viewing, ever took the time to look that up? Remote viewing. Did any of you remember what that is, or did any of you take the time to look that one up? Yeah, I know, Venice. She's so cute. Your dog is so cute. Now I have 3 dogs and a cat that boss me around. 3 dogs and a cat that boss me around. Okay. Let me take a drink. Sorry. My mouth gets so dry. The medication I take makes my eyeballs dry, my mouth dry. Okay. Remote viewing has been around forever. I'm trying to figure out, oh no, what did my computer do? Okay, I thought it knocked everything off. All I could see was Google. I'm trying to figure out how long ago they used it. I feel like it was used way back in the 50s almost. Remote viewing. Okay, it was proposed back in 1970, but I want to say that it was even talked about back in the 50s. Let me see when it started. Remote viewing started. I know it's been around forever. No, it says 70s. So I guess it is 70s. Anyway, remote viewing started in the 70s. They would use it in the military. They would have people, and they could train people to do it. They started with Stargate back in 1970. They called it controlled remote viewing. Project Stargate. They would train people to do it, and they could focus at a distance at military sites, especially over in the Soviet Union. And they would draw pictures at what they would see in their head of different sites. And they would come very close, if not exact sometimes, of the sites they were seeing that they were trying to spy on. So they would basically almost travel in their minds remotely to these sites. So some people want to say, abilities are not possible. But it is. It is. There's been a lot of literature about it. They try to say that they don't do it anymore. It's a lie. Why would they not? There have been documentaries about it. There have been books about it. They have spoken to um, people in the military and people that used to be some of the remote viewers. So, I mean, you can read about it even now. It's been on the History Channel and everything else. It was very classified back then. It has since been declassified. So you would be amazed. And you'd be amazed at what is possible. And that's why I so often talk about there is not a separateness. There's not really a separateness. Spirituality, science, and for lack of better religion, everything is connected. We are all connected. Um, Going on the internet, the steps that have been made in the last 20 years, for that matter, the veil has gotten very thin. In the next 20 years, mark my words, will be vastly different than it is now. My abilities have ramped up in the last 20 years. I mean, they really have. They have ramped up in the last 20 years. My abilities have ramped up since I've known Sarah. So I want to break people of thinking that abilities you may have, things that are going on, things that may grow, are something evil or dark or bad. It's something that is innately in a lot of people. A lot of people. And you may find that something you stepped down many moons ago is still there, but you may have other things about yourself that you need to work on first. Because a lot of times we've got so much shadow work to do or other problems that we need to work on before we can uncover the other stuff. Because, like I said, I feel like if I did not respect and honor and use what I was given for greater good, that it wouldn't be there. It would be like, oh, you didn't use your toy we gave it. Well, not toy, that's a bad example. You did not use the gift we gave you on your birthday in a nice way, so we're taking it away from you. Sorry. Yeah, shadow work. We all have a shadow side and a light side. Sometimes we stuff bad memories in our shadow. Sometimes we stuff things we don't want to remember in our shadow. Sometimes we even stuff some of our gifts in our shadow. Yeah, sometimes we might stuff a gift in our shadow because someone said we weren't good at it or whatever. So we have to unpack that and take a fair look at it and just unbox it and work through some of that stuff. Resonate higher. It's like working through your crap, basically, in order to not project our stuff onto people. That's what therapists have to do before they help people. Therapists have to go to therapy and counseling when they help people so they don't project their crap on people. And if we have something bad happen in our life, we have to go to counseling so we don't project that onto people. We have to know when our wounds are getting in our way. Does that make sense? Yes. And it's not necessarily the darkest past, it's just the stuff that you've chosen to stuff away and not look at. It's about allowing ourselves to resonate higher. So then we go, but yeah, like back to, oh, crap. Back to what I was talking about when people were using Psychic Yuri Geller wanted to jump in on it. That's so funny. But when people would try to use remote viewing and they were using it during the war, I would have an old client that would be worried about her daughter. And she would come to me wanting me to use remote viewing to check on her daughter, to see if her daughter was okay and if things were okay with the marriage and all that stuff. That is not, that's a no-go. If she wanted to know something, if they were generally okay, that's okay. But if she wanted to know something private and specific, that's not okay. Vintage says if one is stuck in the shadow, are they more prone to haunting? What do you mean stuck in the shadow? If you're stuck in the shadow side, if you're living in the shadow, or you have not done your shadow work, I need clarification about being stuck in the shadow. What are you talking about? Being stuck in the shadow. I mean, if you are, if you have low energy all the time, if you're depressed all the time, low energy all the time, possibly you would attract low energy as far as haunting. If you haven't done your shadow work, you would not be attracting a haunting if you're resonating at an okay level. Shadow work doesn't mean you would attract a haunting if you're resonating at an okay level. It's if you're resonating low all the time, you would more be apt to have a haunting, maybe. Or if you just like to be haunted, you might have a haunting. If you like ghosties, if you want them to visit. Do you want them to visit Vintage? Did you say your neighbor had a ghost? Seems like you said your neighbor had a ghost. Or they just have a lot of loud parties, right? Now, moving on to the auras. Now, I mean, I know there's other kind of gifts, but now I will tell you one thing. If your energy is unfocused and you don't know what your gift is, your mom loves being haunted. If you have energy that's unfocused and it's kind of all over the place, and you know that you have a lot of hyper intense energy in your body, and you don't try to calm down, you could make things, electrical things, go haywire in your house. I used to blow a lot of light bulbs, if I would get all hyper angsty and have a lot of anxiety and stuff. Yeah, you can have ghosts in a home, and you can have ghosts that don't bother you. Take care, Sarah. Bye. Much love. But yeah, you can have entities in a home that don't bother you. And sometimes you can just have residual things going on in a home. Like I told you, if it's an old home, if there's a lot of wood and stuff like that, it can tend to record into the building itself. And that's why it's called a residual haunting. It's not an actual haunting. It's just the material the house is made of tends to act like a recorder, for lack of better. We'll talk about all that haunting stuff starting next week because this October is Halloween month on Dear Dana. So drop what you want to talk about for Halloween month in the comments. It's Halloween month, Eden's favorite. Eden's favorite. So she wants to talk about, the spooky, the creepy, the Halloweeny. Now, I'm going to drop the link again in case anyone wants to come up. We're going to talk about auras a little. We talked about learning about that in graduate school some, mostly out of curiosity because people talk about the chakras and all of that stuff. I learned some about it. The weenie. The what? The weenie? Halloweeny. You do have your chakras and the auras. Now, insofar as auras, if you want to try to see an aura, when a person is away from you, if you blur your eyes and squint them and look at the person, you may see sort of I want to say smoky, a blurry light around them. It takes practice. Yeah, throw them in the comments for Halloween concepts for this channel. It helps me more if you throw them in the comments under the video because I can go back and look easier than I can to try to scroll through the chat. But anyway, insofar as auras, it takes practice. You step back from a person and sort of squint and blur your eyes, and you can kind of sort of see an aura around people. It takes practice to see the colors. The colors help if you're trying to get a sense about the individual, but let me tell you, the colors change. The colors change depending on what physical state the person's in and what mood they're in. They may have a central color that often comes up. Mine's purple, usually. Purple and green usually come up with me a lot. Sometimes white. But purple, green, and white tend to be my often, sometimes others, but mostly those. And I think yellows come up. But anyway, you can see other colors. If you see black, if I've ever seen black on a person, sometimes I might see black on a person if they have an illness, if there's something emotional going on, if they're ungrounded. If you see black on a person, it's not necessarily, oh, they're evil. Usually something isn't right, physically, emotionally, spiritually, on the person. If I see a black spot, I try to take heed to where I'm seeing it, and that gives me a lot of information about what is going on with them physically, emotionally, spiritually. If I see it often in the same spot, typically that will tell me more about them medically. If I see it all over, then I'll be more concerned about them as an individual being. Oh, they're not good. Now, with the aura and the colors, Red, as you know, very energetic, fiery, right? Quick at putting their thoughts into action. And it's the color of the root chakra. We know that. The root chakra. Orange is the sacral chakra. And it's flowing creative energy. And you would often have to learn things the hard way and tend to learn lessons from experience. Yellow is cheery and sunny and charismatic. Solar plexus is where it belongs, and you feel confident and inspired if someone sees that around you. And the green is music and nature, as you would expect, right? And it's an open heart. And you're inspired by and influenced by people around you. And it's in the heart. You have love for yourself and others. And pink is also similar. It makes you kind and caring and loving. Blue, and that's a common one. You have a powerful mind and you operate in the mental realms. And it's in the throat chakra. And it signifies outward expression. Purple is associated with strong intuition, sensitivity, and great mental depths. And it's in the third eye chakra. And you might have psychic or empathic intuitive abilities. And then white. It's a quick mind and tendency, and you often find it in the crown. Now, there are places where you can go and they'll take a photograph and you can see your aura. Who has ever had that done? I've had it done once, I think, but I never got the picture of it. Anybody had that done? I would like to get one, so you could see it in person. I'll show you a picture of it if I can share it. Hey, JC Bear. Let me show you what it looks like when they photograph your aura. Okay, here we go. These are pictures of what it looks like when they photograph your aura. This is really purple. Look at Gwyneth Paltrow's. What would you say about hers? She has a lot of pink, a little purple, and orange. Blue. So yours was around the throat chakra. No. Not was it the throat chakra? I'm off. JC Bears was blue. Like I said, they can switch up, but JC Bears signified throat chakra, governing expression and truth. Uh-oh. The cat's trying to fight the dog under the door. Shh, 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 shh. Let's see some more. Now look at hers. Hers is blue. Those are pretty cool. I forgot what that thing is called that takes the pictures of the aura. Cheerland photography. Yeah, Curland photography. Let me stop it. But like I said, on any given day, your aura can look different depending on what kind of day it is, how you feel, if you've had another gift open up. Jesse Bear, we were talking about different abilities and gifts, and nobody's really fessing up to what their gift is. If you could dignify that you had some kind of, um, I hate the word psychic, but psychic gift for lack of better, what do you think yours would be? You definitely have a way with people. I feel JC Bear, I mean, you're good. Excuse me. I think you're empathic and you're good with people, JC Bear. I think JC Bear is pretty empathic and intuitive, to be honest. But I don't know how he feels about it. He's definitely a peacemaker. He's a good mediator. But mm, whether those are psychic gifts, I don't know. But he definitely is those. I feel like he is definitely spiritually enlightened in many ways. Oh, by the way, definitely have been given messages from. Yes, he's on the same path in that way. Yeah, I was telling them you're when you're becoming spiritually awakened, you get that pull and you start on that path. And when you're spiritually enlightened, you still get that knock in the face that you are still in the learning mode, but you're a lot more peaceful about it. And your intuition increases, and you care for more people, and you have the craving to spend more time in nature when you're more spiritually enlightened. You don't care for monetary things or objects as much when you're spiritually enlightened. Like my daughter and my husband call me, I am sort of a no fuss woman. Yeah, I can understand that, JC Bear. When things first happen, you are freaked out. And when things first happened to me, I didn't want them. I want it to be normal, like everybody else. And then you start realizing, well, you're not the only one that has these abilities. Not the only one. Which, when you realize there's more people, makes you feel better. But then you realize people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. Or then there's some people that want to talk about it and want to act like they're the only ones, which that drives me crazy. They want to act like they're the special ones, they're the only ones, and they're not. There's a lot of people that have abilities, but they're afraid to talk about them. Woo! That sound always scares me.
Ha, I figured when you dropped the link, you said, get your butt up here.
So
I
I've been
could tell.
periodically dropping it, and people aren't biting. That's why when I heard that thunk, it scared me.
Vintage, vintage, where are you? Where are you hiding, vintage? My little minx, where are you going? But no, it's kind of weird from when I was younger. And of course, for me, and I don't know for anybody else in the chat or for yourself, Dana, I found when it was like close friends or family members, like when they had passed,
Hmm.
it's like within a couple of days. Well, it was different with my parents. I kind of received messages before, I guess just because of the nature of a parent child type of relationship. But with friends and like aunts, uncles, I have received that type of, I guess you're emotionally more vulnerable when there's a death or a passing.
Hmm.
So it kind of leaves you in that more receptive state. And I found as I got older and items were happening, I would receive very weird messages. Like when my aunt had passed, it was like, there's my parents and my aunt in the old family kitchen, and the message was, "I'm doing fine. I know they did everything for me that they could, and I'm happy with it, and I'm happy with them."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, how do I approach my cousins and tell them this type of stuff, right?" So the method I had was when we were all together and we were chatting and talking and reminiscing about your parents and family and how crazy they were and the fun times. I find that it's a lot easier to approach females
Yeah.
with this type of item. And I said, I had the strangest dream about so and so. And they're like, "Well, tell me about it." And so I would relate that and I would relate the message to it. And they're like, "Oh my God, you had no idea how glad you had that," because we always felt a little bit of guilt, about, we couldn't take care of her at home after the stroke, so we had to go here and we had to do this. And they said, "That's really wonderful." And it actually made them feel better. Even though I was freaked out, they
Yeah.
felt better. And I guess, as a partner, you know how to approach your hubby or spouse on kind of relaying that type of information.
Yeah.
But I always found that when I did receive stuff like that, to always gravitate toward the my female relatives with that type of information as opposed to my male relatives, because they seem far more open to hearing it and not
Yeah.
look at me like, "Oh my God, you're nuts." But uh, that's happened to me a few times with people who have passed. So,
But around here with Stephen and Eden, they're interested when something comes up, but you would think that I said, "Oh, by the way, we're having chicken for dinner."
oh my God, they're like, "Oh yeah, that again."
I mean, they want to hear, but it doesn't. It's normal. They want to hear it, and it's interesting. They're not like bored with it, but it doesn't freak them out at all.
Yeah, but with people that haven't aren't exposed to that type of stuff, or they're not open, I found that it was always easier for me to explain it. "Oh, I had the funniest dream," or "I was thinking about so and so," and as opposed to saying, I was sitting back and while I was sleeping, I got this very direct message.
Yeah, but listen, when I first met Stephen, oh my lord, uh, I'd already had my first husband, which it needed to end. Trust me, it was a bad marriage, and he called me brain stalker. So when Stephen came along, can you imagine? It took me, I don't know how long, I didn't know how I was going to tell him that things were a little different with me. And it was that serious. It wasn't just something lightly that happened, that I knew a discussion was going to have to be had. That I was different, and this is what he was getting into, and how was he going to take it? Or did he think I was crazy? I didn't know how it was going to turn out.
Yep.
So I knew it was getting serious enough. I mean, I already had a special needs child, but then I had to add this to the mix that I had to get him to sit down. Look, I'm getting itchy just talking about it. I already had to get him to sit down and say, first of all, I do believe in God, but listen, and this is kind of how it went. And I said, this is what happens, and this is how I am. And I started telling him, and it was just the most broken discussion I could try to have. And he just intently looked at me. And when I got through, he goes, well, I kind of figured something was up because you sort of knew things without me finish telling you. And I was like, okay. He goes, it's okay with me. And he goes, I understood. He said, I suspected. It's okay. So I was like, okay.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
I mean, he didn't, he said later he didn't realize how deep it went. But yeah, he didn't run. He's still here.
Wait, and you guys have been together how long?
November will be 21 years.
Yeah, he's in for the long haul, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, it is freaky when something like that happens. I remember I was more upset than the people I told.
And well, it makes you feel weird when you have to sit down and explain.
Yeah, and and when I think back, it was when I was also like in my late teens, but I never really realized it. Like certain things happened, and I would, for example, an uncle who had not disclosed that he had a terminal illness, and we were all at a family reunion, and he said something to me. And like all of us younger cousins were all going out, and he said something to me, and it wasn't anything bad, but it was just he said it, and I instantly knew that something was wrong, but I couldn't approach him about it, so I grabbed a hold of my mom and I said, "You got to ask Uncle so and so what's going on because something is definitely wrong. Don't ask me how I know, but there's something bad going on, and you got to talk to him." My mom said, "Oh, you're acting crazy." I said, "Just please ask." He goes, "Okay, okay, but I'm not going to ask right now. We're in the middle of a family reunion." And I said, "Oh, okay." And later we found out that he had pancreatic cancer, and he was, only had a short time left. And my mom said, "How did you know?" I said, "Something inside me clicked when he said something and said something is wrong." But it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't that direct, and it couldn't have been intuition because, when you're only like 2021, like your mind really isn't there. But when I look back throughout my late teens and throughout my 20s, now that I'm a little more aware of myself and a little more aware of what things can, signs and guides that can happen, I realize that I've actually had that for a longer period, but never actually knew,
Yeah.
or never actually accepted it. I should say. So that's been like my actual experience, and I've shared some of the more direct ones on here with you as well as with our group. So
And it kind of, wouldn't you say it kind of makes you feel like I always had, my brother would say, well, you were popular in high school, but here's the caveat. I never felt popular in high school because I kept most people at arm's distance. I knew a lot of people, I was around a lot of people, but I didn't actually let a lot of people in.
hmm
I did
I can
keep them at
relate.
arm's distance. I didn't bring a lot of people home or anything like that.
Yeah, my sister, I would say, would have been the more. I was like we were both social butterflies, but my sister was always more. the yes, let's throw a party, let's have everybody together, stuff like that. I I was very similar in high school, which always surprised me because I was active on different teams and different
Yeah.
events. Nothing ever held me back if I wanted to try something. But and I was surprised, years later, people who remembered me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think that they even knew me, right? But they'd say, oh yeah, we know you. Remember we had this class, and I'm like, okay, sure, but hey, no harm, no foul. I'm not going to be rude or anything, but um, it is weird because I had something very similar. I had just very close knit, a few handful of close knit friends, lots of acquaintances, but just a few very close people, but not like a huge group that you would think if you were to see us in a crowd.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I always still sort of felt lonely, if that makes any sense. It's like I had a lot of people, but I still sort of felt lonely.
Hmm.
Like if they got too close, they wouldn't understand.
Exactly. Or as they sometimes used to say with me, I used to be less vocal, but when I did say something, it would be like, okay, to the point, and this is it because I couldn't hold it in anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, this is what's going to happen. You know what it's going to do, and just keep going like that. But yeah, I was never center stage. I was always more like off into the wings. But when I did come out, it was for a short period, said my piece, and then went back in, and that was about it.
Yeah. The world's a crazy place. I just feel like we were meant to have these gifts and we never ever got to um, develop through them.
Well,
It's,
when you think about at certain times where it wasn't really, when you look at religious upbringing and so forth, it wasn't really deemed acceptable. There was something wrong if you were, to say anything about that. You always had to cover it up with, I had a feeling,
yeah,
or or my gut just told me this. It was never, you can never really acknowledge like the true source.
yeah. And it's like I used to say, why did I used to tell my mom, why did he make me like this if it's wrong? How come I'm like
Mm,
this if it's wrong?
exactly. And any centers or knowledge base concerning something that wasn't part of like the mainstream was considered alternative, or oh, why are you in going to that, that type of fringe stuff,
Yeah,
like, and especially if your surrounding family members or friends were very mainstream and didn't deviate from that, it would be, you'd feel almost like, okay, I'm sneaking off to do something dirty, when it really wasn't. It was just basically expanding your knowledge base, which nowadays I think is far more acceptable. But growing up in I guess certain cities or in certain religious families and beliefs and so forth,
in the
it really
South.
yeah, or yeah, well, yeah, in the South, growing up Catholic or strict Catholic and so forth, it would not be considered, appropriate or appropriate to discuss in front of anybody
Yeah.
outside of the family, that type of item.
I mean, I struggled from the time I was 8 years old, and it was like inner torture until time and time and time went on. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, I think even when my sister and I were younger, like, in our, 4, 5, 6, um, we would be talking and nobody would be there. And, we'd be asked like, well, who are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to this gentleman, or I'm talking to this lady, So immediately, oh, okay, well, say goodbye. It's time for dinner. Okay. And then it's like, Okay, out came the sage, out came the holy water, the blessings, we're blessing the room. We're going to cleanse this because for like my parents' generation, it would be like, okay, there's either a spirit or something in the house, and we got to get rid of them because it's it's not good for the kids. It was that type of reaction to anything like that.
Yeah,
Or it's just your imaginary friend. Yes, they'll grow out of it, that type of thing. Not realizing that it could actually be, maybe a spirit that lived in the house like decades earlier or so forth.
it's just so complicated sometimes. I mean, seriously. And Robin asked, "Does your gift ever make you feel like you may have caused it?" When I was younger, I did, especially when I knew if bad things were going to happen. I used to think, "Oh, I'm bad luck," because I would know when so many bad things were going to happen. I would wonder if I made it happen because it was bad. Until I got older and realized that wasn't true. I just happened to pick up on that because it was more intense and too close to home.
Yeah, I just think that the closer you are to the people around you or situations, I think you're able to pick up on it a lot easier
Yeah,
than if it's just a few people that like strangers or just acquaintances. Because I think that your intuition kicks in more when it's a larger group of strangers, but when it's people that you actually knew or grew up with or you're related to, I think that's where it becomes a lot more uh, direct and intense, where you kind of know it's like, I don't think we should be doing that, or I think we're heading down the wrong road.
yeah. And if your energy is low or you it really takes resonating at a higher level, getting your energy up, turning up the volume on yourself, working on your issues, um, putting your turning on music, connecting with nature, meditating and stuff, getting your own energy up. Okay, so you can connect with other people that are in a better light, for lack of better. Does that make sense? So you're not connecting with so many negative things sometimes.
True, but
Not so many. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I just found that when I did have those types of experiences, usually when I'm in that in between of sleeping and waking up,
Yeah.
that kind of semi-conscious, it felt like I hadn't slept at all. Like even though it may have been 8 hours, it's like, oh my God, I'm still so tired. And it's like, so I completely understand what you're talking about, because when I think back, I'm like, yeah, I woke up and I'm like, oh, I just want to call in and have a sick day, but I know I can't. But
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you know when you have an hour of hypnosis that it equates 8 hours of sleep?
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's very good to the body. Just a fun fact.
Well, I guess it also, you're into that. You'd probably have to go to that portion where you're in that REM cycle.
Yeah.
And that's really where a lot of your body and mind heals and absorbs knowledge,
Hmm.
is when you get to that very, very deep type state of sleep. And I guess that's why, you end up being open to suggestions under hypnosis that can permeate up.
Yeah. And let me just say, when you're open to the suggestions, you never do anything that your conscious mind would never let you do. Meaning, if you were under hypnosis and I'd say, hey, go across the street and rob that house, if you wouldn't normally do it in your moral mind, you wouldn't do it if I put you under hypnosis.
True, because my in my I guess your moral compass kicks in.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful who you're hypnotizing. Because I know some people who are very much exhibitionists and very much aren't. So you got to be careful on what suggestion you give people.
Yeah, JC Bear may strip.
Not with this body. Like I said, I have a lot more gut than butt, but I'm working on it. So
Yeah, same here. It's called the pandemic. I'm just kidding.
the pandemic 20, the
Yeah.
pan 20. It's like the freshman 15.
It's like during that, you're like, what the heck? I want ice cream.
Mm. My undoing was when I could get gelato delivered.
I've never had gelato.
Oh, a nice hazelnut, lemon, or pistachio gelato, or a stracciatella. Oh, with the vanilla and the shavings of chocolate going through, just heaven on the tongue.
When
Gives you
you
that
talk
little piece.
when you talk about food, you remind me of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh my God, yes. Except he had his honey pot. I have my ice cream.
But Robin says she thinks she may have a gift. Finnish optimism said you may have to be careful how you suggest. Yeah, because I told them I, I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Eden keeps saying, "Mom, you need to get a what is it called? The other channel where you can do private stuff. Does it start with a
Oh,
P?
um,
Not the stripper channel.
no, no. And we're not talking OnlyFans. Um,
No, no, I wouldn't do that.
no. Um,
So I could do like hypnosis on it or do different things like that. I keep
oh,
wanting to say
wow.
it starts with a P, but maybe it doesn't.
Patreon.
Patreon. Thank you, C. Cruz. Woo! Down for the count. High five.
Oh no, I think I'm enticing vintage optimism to go down to Little Italy to pick up some, aren't I, vintage?
Lemon
Little
pistachio gelato. What's the difference in that and ice cream?
it's the texture, and I find it a lighter flavor. It doesn't have it doesn't have that heavier cream, but it's still creamy and light, and it's just
Okay, gotcha. I understand, rubber band. Okay. So I'm going to ask any of you, do you have any questions between your spiritual awakening, your spiritual enlightening, your aura, or your gifts? People know it's funny because I even said recently, I'll do a psychic question if you have one. Crickets. Nobody ever asked me to do a psychic anything for them. And I'm like, okay, are they scared because I don't use cards? So I'm asking you, do you have any questions about any of these topics? By the way, the courts kicked Jamie Spears out today,
good.
Brittany's dad. It's not over, but they kicked him out because he's in trouble. He
Oh
was
yeah.
uh he was putting a bug on her phone, in her bedroom, everywhere.
Yeah. I mean that type of invasion of
Disgusting.
privacy is like, yeah, no, no.
I'm still questionable about Sam, her fiance.
Well, eventually, full intentions will come to light.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I want her to be happy, but still, something's gnawing at me.
Well, we'll see. I mean, she does. She is very intelligent.
Yeah.
She would probably be best advised for a prenup.
Oh, absolutely. I want her to be happy 100%. And he's good looking, but something bothering me. Yeah, prenup would be great. Then I'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she worked hard to amass what she has built, so she has to protect not only herself, her brand, and items for her future children, or for her children.
Yeah.
So,
And then on to the I want that guy I called too, Brian Laundry.
Dirty Laundry is the nickname for him.
Mm-hmm. Maldo.
It all depends. Like, I don't know what his level of outdoormanship is like. Like, if he's on the run, he would have to, well, he is on the run, but he would have to have some mad survival skills,
But
depending on
Lord,
where he is.
I mean, he's not like a genius.
No, unless he's getting help from, allegedly getting help or something from maybe the parents or so forth.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of, because his face is all over the place, so he would be instantly recognizable.
Yeah, absolutely. But, everybody's starting to look like him now.
True, but maybe, better better to call and find out it wasn't than to not call, and the person, whoever sees him and doesn't call, thinking, "Oh yeah, that can't be him,"
Yeah,
will be
true.
the time that he slips away.
So I'm asking everybody in this community because believe it or not, I sense that you have more gifts in here than you realize you do or that you're able to tap into yet. You all have, on some level, some gift that you are not aware of yet. So focus your energy and your light. Prayers for Gabby's family, first of all, and focus the light that you have on Laundry being caught, on him tripping up and him being caught. A, enough money's been spent on him. B, he needs to be caught. That focus needs to be on other people, being helped. Enough's enough. Don't you think, Jesse Bear?
Yeah, I think, a group like us
Yeah.
focusing, the energy towards, a good outcome on both ends. You never know. Could be just that little bit more.
I mean, if you focus Dog the Bounty Hunter and Brian Laundry, an energetic cord between the two, getting shorter and shorter and shorter, he probably will get caught quicker.
True.
It has happened. So I'm asking you, please, focus an energetic cord between the two and it getting shorter and shorter and shorter so he can be caught quicker, so this case can be resolved. I'm not asking for him to be dead, I'm asking for it to be resolved.
True. I think he should be caught alive and brought to justice,
Yeah,
and be exposed for the person that he is.
because he has many, many problems, and who knows what else has gone on. And the focus of all of these, the police and FBI and stuff, needs to now be helping other people too. And Brian Laundry needs to be brought to justice, and Gabby Petito's family needs, some peace. And, I don't know how Laundry's parents are involved or not, but if they're not involved, they need peace too.
True. And probably made to see the truth about their son.
Yeah. And if they were involved, then they need to be face the music. I don't know whether they were or not. But to some extent, they had to be because they knew she didn't come back.
exactly. So, and my thing is what story did he supposedly tell them? Because personally, if it's my fiance and they went missing, you would not have had me A, leave the state, B, I would have been on the local police every single day to see what was going on. I wouldn't, yeah, so the actions don't match up. And
And
if the parents accepted that,
then who are they to go
exactly,
camping? I mean, going camping twice doesn't make sense.
exactly.
So, it just, does anyone have any questions tonight? I didn't mean to sound like I was, now I'm thinking about the whole thing. It doesn't seem like I had as many questions and I sounded too professory. I'm sorry. I was thinking I have more questions. I guess in my head it sounded better than it did.
The group is mellow tonight.
I know. And I tried to do a meditation to make everybody feel good in here. And
You got to meditate at the end. That
yeah,
way they're like, oh,
but
at the beginning, then it mellows everyone out.
no, but I didn't do it with them. I did it before I came on
Ah,
towards the channel. Bad move, Dana. Crickets.
oh my
Okay.
God.
I am sending everybody love, kindness, and I'm asking you, throw the topics down in the comments, dude, about what you'd like me to talk about. And remember, you get 15% off at Moore's Candles. Because, listen, this is what I'm about to do. We'll do something fun. I am saying your vibe attracts your tribe. I love and respect you all. Please throw your comments down below this video when it goes off so I can make you ever so happy. I promise. And when this goes off, I'm going to log out and then I'm going to log back on live and I'm going to unload this box so you can see. Okay?
Oh, you got a box?
Yeah, so don't go anywhere. I'm just
Oh,
going to flip
okay.
off this topic and then flip right back on live.
But then also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Yes, thank you, please. Yes, please like, subscribe, and share so we can build this community and do some fun things. Guess what? Guess what? It's going to be officially October, and we're going to do some Halloween October fun.
Oh, have you gave any more idea to your Halloween episode? Are
About,
you gonna be are you gonna be going out to that area with you and Eden?
I told Eden we were. She says she's kind of afraid to go to the lake. She says she'd rather go to the graveyard than the lake. But we'll see. I'll get her to do it. I'll get her to bring her friend Jenny too, and she'll feel safer.
Yeah, you got to decide so you can build up to the Halloween episode.
I know. We're going to do a bunch of Halloween, spooky, kind of fun October things.
And just think, people in the chat, we can all wear costumes.
Oh, yeah, that's good because Eden wants to be Elvira,
Oh, cool.
Lady of the Night.
I gotta get some ideas. I'll get some ideas.
Yeah, but
So
we'll do
yeah,
some Halloween stuff.
if you wanna wear costumes, you can wear costumes and come on YouTube.
Yeah,
Have some fun.
we'll just do fun things for October. Less teaching, more fun. Dana.
Well, combo both.
But yeah, let's do this. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Please like, subscribe, and share. Put your comments down below this video of things you'd like to see and hear on Dear Dana, and I'll try to be less professory. And I'm about to go off and come right back on, so don't go anywhere so I can unbox because I haven't seen anything I received.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'm gonna exit here and flip over to YouTube and watch you unbox.
Okay, Love you
Sounds
all.
good.
I'll be right back. Do not
Ciao.
go anywhere. Bye.
Ciao.
And here we go. Don't leave. I'll be right back. I'm going to close it out and come right back on live. I just want it to be two separate things, okay? Where did it go? It's going to say I left, but I'm coming right back. Here we go.